Hey there, and welcome back to Cade Made. In this episode, I share with you how I went about refreshing this lovely 1919 one-bedroom apartment and furnishing it as a rental for traveling professionals. The space was actually in pretty decent shape. It had been fully remodeled about 20 years ago, so all of the electricity, plumbing, bathroom, and kitchen were completely reworked, and all it needed additionally was a little nudge beyond its already charming 100-year-old character. Instead of telling you exactly what I'm going to do in this episode, I thought I would just let this episode unfold for you, and you can take from it and as much of it as you want. I definitely had to think about how much effort I was going to put into every part of this. It is a furnished rental, it is a rental, and so I'm not moving in there. So I definitely would have done some things a little differently had I been moving there myself. But otherwise, I think it turned out really beautifully. I think people will enjoy it now and in the future much more. And I hope that you enjoy this process. So let's get into it. Welcome, glad to have you, glad to be here. This is so low, this fan. I can't believe it's in here. Is that safe? That's not safe. We're taking that out. I feel like I should take that one out as well. I might have a better solution for that. We need to like get this cute in here. I will say that getting the ceiling fan out of this kitchen is like kind of amazing. It just really opened up the space. Is that pretty good? Can you see me? You can see me. There's like these moments where you're like, what should I do? And I'm looking at this and I'm looking at that and I'm going, does that need to be there? Does that need to be there? Should I bring this to the design review board or should I just like go for it? These two cabinets need to go. Oh my God. What's the ceiling? Oh my God. Oh no. Shit. Oh. How yellow it was in here. Holy moly. Wow. Wow. That's great. As I should have probably known, I have just seriously spent the last several days painting, and instead of taking you on the painful journey of watching me paint the walls the exact same color they were, I just went ahead and painted it off camera. But everything looks kind of like outrageously good. The walls look great. I mean, everything in terms of walls and trim. So I actually painted the whole ceiling, painted this hallway entirely, and also painted the bedroom, and including a repaint of the closets, all of the doors, the white, and the trim, the baseboards and stuff. So the whole place is basically repainted. It looks really sharp, but with all of that, it's kind of making the floor look a little bit dull. And there's also a spot here. I'm gonna flip this around. So the floor has like this spot here. I think this is oak, and it's oak. And it's a nice floor, except for the fact that this is there's a subfloor underneath this, and this is about 1/4 inch thick, maybe slightly more, slightly less, but it's a very thin wood. And it's not in terrible condition, it's just like, it's been worn. And so I'm thinking that I should just go ahead and refinish these floors. It's not like a huge deal. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ask the experts at the tool rental what their thoughts are with these sort of thin oak floors. Here I'm doing a test with my orbital hand sander with a 60 grit sandpaper on the specific spot to see how far I could go down. Just keep that in mind, 60 grit. This beauty is an orbital floor sander. Essentially, it's just like your orbital palm sanders. And what it does is it just vibrates. Then it sucks your dust up through the sides of it. So basically, what you're gonna do, smack this little pad on. You also want to put, I guess you put this on first, your dust out. You put your This is 80 grit sandpaper. Put on here.
Just to make a note, did you hear that now? 80 grit sandpaper. Just note that.
There.
So I really went for it using first an 80 grit, then I went to 100 grit, and then I went to 150 grit sandpaper, sanding the floor for about 8 hours an entire day. And looking at it, I was thinking that I had gotten completely through the entire sanding the layers of floor down through the polyurethane at that point.
Yesterday, after I got those floors all finished, sanded, and all cleaned up, I went ahead and put on the first coat of polyurethane. And the first coat of polyurethane is always a little freaky, but this has been a bit of a thing to digest, so I'm gonna show you. It's just like parts of it where the old finish was still there, but it was like roughed up. It's like darker. I'm a little nervous, but I'm just gonna go ahead and second coat it and see what it looks like. You know, it feels great. I was walking on it with socks and it feels really, really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on the second coat.
I did go ahead and put on the second coat, and I also as well put on a third and then maybe a half of a fourth coat to complete the floor sanding in between.
When I took the cabinets off of these, when I took the cabinets off of this section of the kitchen on either side of the window, I took off the tile that was just below the cabinet because they had cut them to fit underneath the cabinets. So what I'm gonna do here is actually just go back through and put these mitered edge finish tiles on the end here. Yeah, so I have to like cut that, but I don't have a tile saw, so I'm gonna try that. Yeah, and then I got these smaller ones. I'm about to fuck some shit up. And I just want you to go with me on this journey. It's annoying. I'm gonna dig myself deeper into this hole, and then I'm gonna eventually give up like I'm doing right now. But this is just a portion of today's episode to remind yourself to take breaks and to stop. Just stop. When you start messing things up and it's like, just stop. Taking my break.
All was honestly pretty well and fine here until I started like trying to like smooth out the caulk.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. We are having a rough half hour here on Cade Made. Whoa, okay. How about I just caulk the top line and call it? We're not doing it. I was gonna do it. Oh my god, no! This is a mess. This is a case of using the wrong thing for the wrong thing. And it's really snowballing on me right now. Okay. For this space, I got this light fixture, and it's a little plain Jane, but since this is a rental unit, this light fixture is gonna be great for giving light throughout the whole space, including, you know, going to all walls of the room. This, for over the sink, this is over the sink. This was already hanging there and it just had a different globe, and I got this globe to go over it, which I thought was kind of cool. I'm gonna install these real quick. Oh, beautiful. Love that. Wow, that's great. I think that looks really cool. I could put these glass globes on there, but I don't think I need them. I think it was worth I think I'm just gonna set these aside. I wanna show them to you. This is the light fixture for the dining room, and it just needs to be repainted. I'm just gonna spray the whole thing black and then maybe use Rub and Buff to accentuate some of the little sides of it and whatnot. I feel like it does need a repaint right now, and so that's what I'm gonna do first and foremost.
If you had caught the tacky light fixture that was in the front room in the house in the front of the video, you would see that it was brass. I did go ahead and spray paint the fixture as well black to match my wrought iron light fixture that I'm installing here now. When I originally did this light fixture, I bought these crystals off of Amazon, and they're like teardrop crystals, just in clear. I thought it looked nice, and I thought that the faceted ones looked a little cheap, whereas these look sort of vintage-esque. I'm going to dive into rub and buff a little bit more later on, but it's this metallic finish that I used here to accent these little button stars on that larger parameter piece. But rub and buff, baby. I'll use it forever and ever.
All right, so here we are. I just went to the hardware store and I picked up this light fixture for this room. What I like about it is that it has the white surround here, which is frosted glass, which will dissipate the light going outward throughout the room. And then it's open in the bottom, so you get kind of like a direct light beam coming down, potentially just a little bit more, which would be over basically like over the sofa coffee table area. And so I'm gonna go ahead and try and get this installed. And I also have, because there's a gas line up there and it's sealed at the moment, but it still has gas running into it. So I need to like bump down where the light attaches a little bit so the little medallion will get that job done for me there.
And then the light is on a dimmer, so it really casts this nice light. And then I simply caulked the edge of the ceiling medallion to blend it with the ceiling, make sure it emulates a classic plaster ceiling medallion. Well, if it isn't another unsponsored advertisement for Howard Restore Finish, this is the walnut variety that we're using here on these windowsills, as well as the trim around the windows and of course the door. What I like about Restore Finish is that it restores the wood, gives it a new luster, cleans it, as well as hides little nicks and scratches without damaging the previous finishes or the wood. So we love it. Howard Restore Finish. At this point, this would be the most premium place if we were renting this to a long-term renter. And because we're not, the space is now prepared for me to furnish it. But it really looks spectacular. It's shining bright like a diamond. It looks really phenomenal, and I'm so happy with the work that I did up until this point just to make the place absolutely wonderfully livable. This table has been around for quite a long time, and this is actually its third time being refinished. So I was a little hesitant because the veneer top on it was quite thin and the sides were solid wood, so that was no problem. But I did sand all of the previous finish off to prep it for staining it with a gel stain. This is a espresso colored gel stain that went on quite dark, but it did keep a lot of the wood grain underneath showing, so I really liked its coverage because it hid some of the imperfections where the sanding went beyond the first layer of veneer. And I really like the way that this gel stain worked on this wood. I think I'd use it again if I was to do a staining project. I finish coated this table with my classic satin polyurethane. It's acrylic, and of course sanding with 225 grit sandpaper thoroughly in between each coat. I think I did 4 coats on this table, and I really adore how the finish came out. I really feel like my vision for the table was realized with this project. These chairs have essentially been in my partner's life for his whole life. They're very sturdy. They were from officers' quarters at an Air Force base, and Mike had left them in this sort of sanded state because they looked a little intentionally faux finished, but I decided that I was going to paint them a little bit darker to go with the theme of the table. This is an almost black. It's a very dark gray black, and I cannot recall the color right now, but I will put it up on the screen. You kind of master a painting project by the time you're finished, so I got my flow with where to start painting to keep not handling the chair the entire time. But I really love this color. It's, you know, it's a little bit lighter than black, which black can be sometimes a little too intense.
Put the back towards the room like my house.
Well, that's hard.
Buddy. And you could potentially put like a chair there.
Well,
I mean, it works well in the room if you don't want to close the, the door. Because if it's like over here, so you just like leave a. I never thought of it like this. I mean, you could potentially have it there against the wall, and then you could have like a. I'm gonna have to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a little story time to contextualize what's happening here. So a little over a year ago, I was walking Mr. Fargo, and we were walking near the house, and this guy in this little bungalow offered some water to Fargo. And of course, I obliged and we began chatting, and I noticed this very cool mantle on their front porch. And he explained that they had taken it out of their living room to create more room in their living room. And it just ended up on their front porch, and that they just really didn't know what they were gonna do with it. And I really didn't have a space for it at that particular time, so I really didn't think twice about it, but I always admired it when we were walking by. So when I began this project, I was walking by that house and I saw the mantle on the front porch, and I go, oh my gosh, we need a mantle. So in this space, the mantle had at some point had been removed, and the fireplace had been covered up to make more space in the living room here. But since I'm turning it into the dining room rather than the living room, I was like, oh my gosh, a mantle would be so incredible. So I go, oh my gosh, this mantle has to be in this room. So I literally stewed and fretted over asking these people if they were willing to give up their front porch mantle and all of it. Mike heard about it endlessly from me because I was obsessed, and I was like, I just didn't know how to ask, and I didn't want to be rejected. So it took me a long time, and then it was like the 11th hour of this project. I just decide that I have to try. And so I go to their front door, knock on the front door, they answer, and basically they were like, yes, if you would like the mantle, we would love a little bit of money for it, but otherwise take it. There's no plan for it. I offered them $200. I thought that was decent, and they were obliged. I would have gotten this on video, except for this all happened really fast after I made the offer, and we had to rent a truck, and the mantle weighs like 700 pounds. So 3 of us got it into a moving truck, and then we had our other friend help us at the house get it into the space. So that's what's happening here. I love this mantle. Their bungalow is like 1927, 1929. And so that's obviously when it's from, but it's just this really cool faux stone. It's actually solid concrete, and I just love the way it looks in this space. So that's for that. That's the little story time for this mantle moment.
Just go down for a second. Okay.
very cool.
Isn't that rad?
That is so cool. Where'd you get it?
These people had it on their front porch for years.
Oh, you were done.
Yeah, it was in their house, right?
So fucking cool.
So badass.
It's just such a good object.
Yeah.
Nice. Good job.
There is a wonderful, comfortable, beautiful dynamic you can achieve by incorporating items not necessarily of the same age or design style, but combining the like elements between them. And so there's no rules, but you can really make this beautiful display out of things that are old and things that are more contemporary. And some of the elements here, like these Macintosh style rose windows, are just spectacular. And I thought that this mantle really complemented those without being necessarily of the same design era or style, but the quality of the objects unify the space. And I really feel like if you can achieve that, then you've achieved something really, really important. Much of the decor and things I incorporated into this space were things that I had. I was basically shopping in our storage and my own house to create this space. The things that I did buy were linens. I did buy that thrifted chair, but I just wanted to keep the decor pretty minimal and unified because for furnished spaces, you don't want to overwhelm people with tchotchkes. You want it to be just sort of a inspiration for them. I'm really happy that we turned that into the dining room and turn this into the living room because look how fabulous this room is with the light coming through the bay window. Of course, you may recognize this green sofa that was from the parlor makeover, but the parlor has since evolved and it's landed here. And then of course that very cool Moroccan brass table. It's just so cool. The side tables came from a movie that I worked on. And of course you might recognize the chair from my last upload, the simple thrifted vintage chair makeover. A very, very sweet room, just a wonderful space. This might be the smallest butler's pantry in the history of houses, but it is pretty dang cute and it's a butler's pantry. I love this built-in cabinet on this side and I love that little coffee corner. One of the best improvements I made to this space was taking those cabinets from either side of that sink down. Look at that, that is so adorable and bright and just appropriate. And the tile turned out okay. I'm not too disappointed in that. But this is a great kitchen. It's very useful. You know, it's not necessarily a beautiful design, but it definitely has everything you need and a brand new gas range, stove, and oven. But I think anybody would be happy to use this space. Although the bathroom is pretty simple, I think the bathroom is really useful and it doesn't look bad. I like the subway tile in there and we replaced the sink and the toilet a few years back and I think it works just great. I've very much come to realize the importance of having a bedroom that is clean and free of clutter and just made for sleeping. And I think that this room, even though it has some IKEA in it, really achieves that. I did combine some vintage elements like these shelves, which I love these shelves. They've been around my entire life. And I thought that this all looked great together. And I think it's perfect for sleeping. Well, that's it for this episode, but it is springtime, so we will be very soon moving outdoors. I have so much to share and so much to do this summer, so I look forward to sharing a new episode with you soon. And as always, take care of yourselves, have fun out there, and please do make somebody smile today. All right, see you soon.